guys, welcome to the channel, and this is another part of my Building Newcrest series, and we are actually in the last part of this district, I guess you could call it. So this part of the map, it's the lower left part of Newcrest. I imagine it to be kind of like the university area, where maybe the university is like somewhere around this area, and then surrounding it is the buildings that are kind of like skill building areas and places that students would go to kind of hang out and, do things. And yeah, so we have the library, we have the art museum, and we have the college park, and now we're building the Newcrest Performing Arts Center. And I remember when I was in college, I used to frequent the Performing Arts Center pretty often because the performances were often free for students, and I've seen a few plays, I've seen a few dance performances, and I don't know, it was really cool, especially for someone that didn't have a lot of money, and it was like good for dates. And yeah, so I thought it'd be really nice to have a performing arts center for the university or college here in the 30 by 30 lot in Newcrest. So on the side of the building are classrooms and a dance studio, as well as a dressing room for the performers. And in the main building is the auditorium. And this building would actually be really good for graduations as well. And that's kind of what I plan on using it for in my Goth LP. Because oftentimes high schools will use university auditoriums or stadiums and things like that for their graduations. There's actually a graduation mod by Brit Pinky Sims. She does a lot of mods, like event mods and social things, and they're really cool. So I'll link that down below in case you're interested. So here in the front is kind of like where you would buy your tickets, and it's also where the bar is. And I actually ended up replacing these benches I put here for a bar because I didn't really have a place for a bar that would fit, and I thought the bar in kind of like the lobby would be the most appropriate, since you could, hang out at the bar before the show starts or something and grab a drink before you go to your seat. And yeah, so I thought that would be kind of cool there. One of my favorite things about this building is there's kind of like a floating walkway that goes from the second floor to the left side of the building. And that part of the building is just basically a concession stand or a cafeteria. And I imagine that when there's not performances going on, the drama kids or the dance majors, I imagine that they, would be able to go up to the cafeteria or concession and have lunch or do whatever. And I thought that would be kind of nice. Out here in the front of the building, I think they're technically movie posters, but I thought they would be really nice to kind of have promotional material out in the front of the Performing Arts Center, just as if they were like posters for musicals or some type of performance or musical performance, just to promote it. So how I made the stage is I basically put a foundation on the entire building, and then I set rooms and removed the floor, and so that allowed me to have a piece of the foundation on one end of the building, which creates a stage. And if you are still unsure about how to do that, I think Sim Supply has some really great tutorials on how to do like a split level. And that should help you out a lot, especially when making a stage, because it is a little bit difficult in The Sims 4, and it was a lot easier in Sims 3 because of Showtime. But yeah, it's not impossible though, and you just basically make a split level, remove part of the floor, and add some flooring to the ground, and you have a stage. I really wanted a few mezzanine levels because the first floor of the audience area isn't very big. So I thought it made sense to have some mezzanine levels, which you can access by the stairs that are in the front. Ideally, there would be like elevators or something, but we don't really have elevators, so yeah. And here I'm just adding some lighting to the stage area so that's nice and lit. I of course needed the red curtains, which I was excited to use. They are from Dine Out and they're perfect for this type of thing, I think. It's a very traditional looking stage. A lot of times the inside of the auditorium has carpet. I think that's because it limits like the sound like reverberating off the wooden floors. It just makes the sound quality a lot better. And on the sides of the auditorium and also on the outside, like in the lobby areas, I use this wood paneling that I think is from Spa Day, but it reminded me of the paneling that reduces like noise. So that's what I used on the inside. I thought that looked pretty good too. Fun fact, I actually created the seating charts for the Dr. Phillips Performing Arts Center in Orlando. And let me tell you, that was not fun. It was very, very tedious, like hundreds and hundreds of seats that I had to place. So placing all these seats in here kind of gave me flashbacks to that time in my life when I was making seating charts in an internship. But it was still pretty cool though, having to be able to work on those things. And I have really good memories with like performing arts centers. Orlando is a very art centered city, I think, and there's a lot going on there as far as the arts go, and you can pretty much see anything you'd like as far as the arts go in Orlando. Like you have the Orlando Ballet Theater, you have the universities with the theater companies, and it's really cool. And I was lucky to be surrounded by so much art and live music, and yeah, I really liked it a lot. In high school, I saw Grease, and in college, I went to UCF, and well, I didn't go there for school, but I went to their theater, and I saw the pajama game, which I loved. I really liked it. And I actually started getting into musicals when I was in college, not so much when I was in high school. But I do enjoy a good musical, especially live. I don't really like to watch them kind of, like just in a video or whatever. But yeah, and then I also was in dance when I started dancing when I was 4, and then I started competing when I was 8. And every year we had a spring recital and we had a Christmas recital. And oftentimes we would use high school auditoriums or sometimes even college ones. And so dressing rooms, like the backstage area, they were all really familiar to me. So doing this dressing room here was really fun, and it brought back a lot of really nice memories. So here in the dressing room, your Sims can get ready for, their performance. I noticed in a lot of dressing rooms, there's always like photos or posters of previous performances that were held, or, things that the performers liked. And so I included some of those posters in there, and just some fairy lights for fun. Right next to the dressing room is a dance studio, so people can rehearse and practice their dancing and performances and all that. Next to the dance studio is a classroom, and I imagine that drama students would come here to study theater or just anything related to the performing arts would be here. So in this part of the building, it is the cafeteria or concession stand. So patrons or students can come here and have their lunch or get some snacks for the show. and things like that. So I have a full kitchen and bar area here. So in here I have a popcorn machine, an ice cream machine, some coffee and tea, anything you'd really need really for a concession. And I also have these like quote unquote vending machines here, and just some more performing arts posters of maybe things that have been performed here in the past. Here in the bottom floor is another classroom, but for kids, because I thought maybe during the summer or something like that, maybe they'd have like drama classes for kids as a summer program. I thought that would be really cute. So in the back here, with an art center, it's actually required to have a woodworking table and an easel. And I was like, oh, where am I going to put that stuff? Why would that make sense? But I was thinking about it, and I remember that it was actually kind of a big thing if you weren't that into drama itself, but you wanted to get into prop making for performances, then you could do that instead. So I thought that would be really cool to include in this building. And I made this little room kind of like behind the stage where your Sims can do their woodworking and paint and, make some props for the shows. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you all enjoyed this build, and I'll provide a link to the download down below, and I'll be able to do a Tumblr post for all the builds in this district. But yeah, guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.